Welcome to the Maxwell Leadership Executive Podcast, where our goal is to help you increase your reputation as a leader, increase your ability to influence others, and increase your ability to fully engage your team to deliver remarkable results. Hi, I'm Perry Holly, a Maxwell Leadership facilitator and coach.
And that was much better than what I've done. I'm Chris Goede. Welcome to the Maxwell Leadership Executive Podcast. We are so excited that you're here to join us. So excited to have Perry back in studio with us today. And if you are interested in learning more about 5 levels of leadership, again, the training, the consulting, the coaching that we do, I want to encourage you to go to maxwellleadership.com/podcast. There, click on this episode, this session. You can fill out a form and submit that information there, and we'll follow back up with you.
Also get a learner guide there for this
And you can get a learner guide, absolutely. So let's dive in. I want to talk about today this topic. I'm very excited about this topic because oftentimes we will go and we'll talk about different competencies, different things around the 5 levels of leadership and the foundation model. What you're bringing to us today, I think, is extremely relevant. We're going to talk about the 5 trends that will define work throughout the rest of 2024. So 5 trends that will define work in 2024. According to Harvard Business School, there are these 5 key trends that are going to define how and what we do in the workplace. So let's look at the 5 and see if and how they're going to affect the way that we lead our teams, whether it's you and I leading teams or those that are listening or watching and you lead your teams. So I think this can be very impactful.
I found this interesting that there's things going on. And if, as a leader, I'd like to, we definitely keep our heads down working in the business and helping the team and all, but we work on the business and look around what's going on in the environment and the culture. And are there things I need to be aware of that may be affecting my team that I might not normally? Yeah. Number 1 is probably not a really big surprise to anyone, but the hybrid work, they called it the hybrid work evolution. In the article, in the survey, Harvard actually said that the concept of in-person work days is undergoing significant transformation with the rise of work from anywhere. WFA. It had to have an acronym. Work from anywhere.
Work from anywhere.
Teams were witnessing a shift towards flexibility and adaptability. And leaders definitely need to, we want to build a culture of trust and this, I've heard people, can we trust people when they're not in the workplace if I can't see you and those types of things. But what's your thought on, and you have a mixed team. We have different people that work off-site, on-site.
Yeah, I think this potentially not only coming off of 23, but also in 24, maybe even futuristically, this is a big, not only trend, but this is a big leadership opportunity for organizations that they're going to have to deal with. And some organizations are beginning to take a different type of stance. I was talking to my brother over the weekend, and he was sharing with me, he's like, he works for a Fortune 100 company, and they're like, no, coming in third quarter, it's mandatory. Everybody, kind of back in, except for 1 day a week. So everybody has kind of their own blend. I think, to me, it really depends on the roles that each team member has and the team dynamics. But when you do this, we'll call it this hybrid, you got to have clear policies and expectations. I think there are some pros to this. I think there's some cost savings for certain organizations that can take advantage of it. I think this gives you a greater access to the talent pool that are out there. And I think it'll give you some team satisfaction if you do it. Some of the cons that people talk about there are communication challenges.
Yes.
And there's this connection. There's a team cohesion problem.
Right.
Because we can do this, like you and I. We've done this podcast a couple times over Zoom. We're in person with each other, but it's just different, right? It's a different dynamic. And then you have this inequality of, well, how come she or he gets to have that hybrid and this one doesn't? And what's their role? And so we have some of those dynamics that you're going to have to learn and understand how to lead through.
Well, as I was researching a little bit, I happened to run across an interview with Elon Musk just recently, and he said that this remote work is a moral issue. So I leaned in like, moral issue?
Yeah, right.
I thought, what? He goes, as in, how dare you think you can work from home when the people that built your home they don't get to work from home. They had to come on site and build your home. And the people that make your food, they don't work from home. They come and make your food. And the people that service your car, they don't get to work. And he kept going on and on, that they all have to come to work. Why don't you come to work? And made it a moral issue. So I disagree with that.
Yes.
I don't think it's that. I love your response that it really is. It's going to be person by person, maybe role by role. It does require some levels of trust. One thing I noticed, I actually work more at home than I do at the office because I'm very social and I might wander around the office, but there's no purpose roaming around my house. So, but I found some friends of mine said, no, I just can't focus at home and I need to be at the office. So be who you are, be self-aware and, apply yourself, as you said, some balance, some trust. And it's not for everybody, but I think as a leader, you got to deal with this.
You're going to have to deal with this.
If you're not already.
It's much different in the past. I think it'll continue to change in the future. And to your point, we have to lead people the way that they need to be led. And you have to have that flexibility. And you may not have an extremely strict policy to it, but you can be lenient with it one way or the other. And we're going to talk a little bit later in this podcast about what you just said about you tend to work more at home. And that could be a negative thing, right, for yourself. So well, let's talk about number 2. And this is it right here. Push back against workism, which I saw this. I was like, workism, is that a workaholic? Well, it is in that category, right? So this is about having a life while you work, not your life being all about your work. And so workism is being defined as building your life too much around your job. And so HBR says that work shouldn't be expected to provide everything, including your community, the meaning. You got to really have a work-life balance. And that's a challenge. And that's what I was getting to just a minute ago about. I remember when we were full-time at home, it just seems like you never shut it off. For me personally, like the office is always there. For right now, when I, drive into work, I kind of, get ready for work. When I'm driving home for work, I try to shut some things off. Whereas to your point earlier, like you get a lot of stuff done, but do you ever shut it off? And I want you to comment on this because I know you've told me this personally in the years past. Like you've had to have some conversations at home because you just get into a rhythm and you're creative and you're writing and you're thinking. And before you know it, it might have worked right through breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And, the missus is like, hey, remember me? Remember home?
I start very early. That's just I like those unseen hours are my most important hours of the day. So I'm able to do what I do. But as the day goes on, and so the statement was made to me, why would I need to scream up the stairs to you to come to dinner at 6:00? Why would I need to do that when you're up there doing your righty, thinky? I thought
thinky, righty,
thinky, righty.
By the way,
developing
the dictionary, righty, thinky.
Kind of Holly. I go, now I know how she sees my work. However, she's right. I don't have any boundaries. I didn't have any guardrails. I didn't have any start and stop time. So it became workism. And when I was thinking about this one, because we do a lot now on generational diversity and the different generations and how do you lead these. Some of this could be driven by the new generations. As a baby boomer myself, I'm driven by success and achievement, getting the job done. I don't stop until it's done. I just have this mentality that came from my generational space. But this Z and Y that are in the workplace are not driven that same way. And so I love that we teach this, is that stop making light of that, about making fun of Zs, Gen Zs, but instead figure out what do they bring. And they bring a bit of a balance. They're driven by purpose. They're driven by meaning, not by achievement. Do they like to achieve? Of course they like to achieve. They want to make money just like anybody, but they're not driven by it the way I was. And so they find themselves in my world of my whole life is all my community is at work. All my relationships are at work. All the purpose at work. No, they don't want that. That's workism, and they want to separate those two.
Hey, podcast listeners. Many of you listening right now would probably love the autonomy that comes with owning your own business or becoming a coach that helps other businesses succeed. Well, we have a phenomenal strategy where you are 100% in control of your own business, earning income on your own terms, and have access to the people, tools, and resources you need to build a thriving leadership development business. When you become a Maxwell Leadership Certified team member, you join a global community of entrepreneurs led by our expert team of mentors and faculty, including John C. Maxwell. You'll also get one of the top leadership certifications in the world next to your name, giving you the boost you need to get started. Visit us online at maxwellleadership.com/join the team to find out more.
I think as leaders, we're going to have to really strategize on how do we implement things that allows them to prioritize the balance of that. A couple of things is that I've done, and I've seen this over the past as people began to work themselves, or workism, as they would work from home too often, is, man, you got to ask them about it. You got to be very, very direct and say, man, what time are we turning off the computer and getting away from the home office or the kitchen table, wherever that might be, and spending some time, whatever you want to spend time on, in order for yourself or your family. And so you got to do that. You got to have regular check-ins about that. Go ahead and encourage them to have time away.
I kicked myself last night. It was Sunday night, and I'm getting ready for bed, and I'm going to put my phone on the charger, and I notice an email had come in, and I looked at it, and then I answered it. And I thought, well, I just sent a bad message to whomever sent it that I have no boundaries.
Yeah.
It could have waited till morning. I could have actually answered it and then put send tomorrow morning instead of, but I thought, why do I do that?
Yeah.
Because my life and my work are so integrated that I'm not balancing it correctly.
Yeah. And you just used a comment that I put down is encourage and coach your team to have boundaries. And it's okay, to do that. And then finally, maybe even allow flexibility for work hours, right? And accept the fact that, hey, you're a morning person, so your day is going to start, after you get done with all of your personal stuff, it's going to start around 7. So about 3 or 4 o'clock, hey, I don't want to see you, online answering emails or whatever. I don't think you're going to listen to me either, but you'll probably respond late at night. It was probably my email, by the way, so I apologize about that. But yeah, I think we've got to be very aware of that as leaders in this trend. That's got to happen, and workism is going to be a natural product, and we're going to have to help people lead through that.
Number 3 surprised me a bit. It's called Harvard Business Review said caregiving policies forward, how they labeled that. And what the statement was and how they defined it was the pandemic underscored the importance of caregiving duties, prompting a closer look at supportive policies. And you think about moms providing care for young children, or children providing care for aging parents, or single parent homes that need care on different levels and that sort of thing. And so in the past, all this care, whether for yourself or from someone you love, was on you. And that COVID kind of changed the family unit and how we interact with each other. I thought, what is the caregiving policies? What should you be doing as a leader to think about how to help provide care for your people and their families and their teams?
Yeah, I saw this, and I love that this is in here. I can't, right? I'm fortunate enough to have been married to my wife for a long time, and we've done Team Goede in working and raising. But man, the single moms out there, the single dads that are out there, even the dual working families that are out there that are managing all of these schedules and still managing their corporate life, man, that kudos to all of them, because what they accomplish not only at home but in the office is amazing. But I like this, and it's interesting because the HBR article talks a little bit about people are seeking a compassionate workplace culture. And we talk about culture a lot. And are we really compassionate about our team members and their personal journeys? And if you are, then this is going to be something that's going to be out there. Yep.
Number 4, we've hit it a little bit, but generational shifts are something you're going to deal with in the workplace going forward. And that HBR said that the baby boomers make way for Gen X. Millennial leaders are stepping into prominent roles. The generational transition brings forth new perspectives and innovative leadership styles, paving the way for organizational evolution. cultivating a culture that values this flexibility will be crucial. I feel like I'm the baby boomer making way for you, the Gen X, emerging into that. I love to hear your views on this new perspectives and innovative leadership styles that will pave the way for our organizational culture. And I hope everyone has a pen and paper. Chris, what is your new perspective and innovative leadership style that's going to pave the way for us?
I feel like you're already posturing right now in a place of being offended about where I'm about to go, especially with the word innovative and all these things. You're like, what do you mean I'm not innovative?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you were making the way. We're ready for you to get out of the way. And so let's go. Right? We're ready for you. What are you waiting on?
The truth is on the table.
You said, let's have some fun with it. So here's what I did. I thought, okay, interesting. Let's look at this. And we've done some stuff on generational diversity. This won't be new to you, but I was thinking about these different generations between Perry and I, who are only one apart. The gap's only one for us. But it is tough to see your friends get old. I told you that the other day. Some things you're going through, and I thought I'd bring that back up here in front of millions of people. For you in your generation, there's a little bit of this in me, but not my generation as a whole. But when we talk about job security, and it's stability and the long term and the IBM for so many years, and do I really leave, and the loyalty side of things, where our generation has a little bit more autonomy and wants a little bit more flexibility. You guys have that authoritative leadership style. We're a little bit more collaborative. So how do we build teams together and innovate as a team versus the leader coming in and doing that? Technology advances. Right. And this is hard for me to say because I don't get into technology a ton. You may even be more technology advanced than I am.
I love my flip phone.
But you love your flip phone. That's right. And then here's one that I think is a big difference that's going forward is the in-person communication versus the text or the emails. And it gets, I shouldn't say worse, but it gets different even further generations down, right? Even my kids, I'm like, hey, it'd be good to see you every once in a while versus just a one-word text response. So, just some different ways that we'll be able to innovate and think a little bit differently going forward as these generations shift through leadership. And I think in 2024, we'll see that.
Number 5, as we begin to wrap up, rise of the portfolio life is a trend you're going to deal with. And HBR said, instead of viewing work and life as opposing forces, we embrace a holistic approach by distributing our time and talents across family, work, community engagement, hobbies, and more. We're crafting and fulfilling multi-dimensional lives. And I said, instead of, separating work and life and the balance and all that, it's a portfolio. And I think you said it really well earlier, is that I have, times for this. I have start and stop times. I make place for this part of my portfolio. Now this is going to be family portfolio time. Yeah. This is going to be, sports portfolio time, or, a personal care portfolio time. What's your view on that one?
Well, I think it's an interesting concept. What it reminded me of right away is those that have the ability to compartmentalize life. And I know my wife and I talk about this because I have the ability to compartmentalize really, really quickly and very easily. For her, everything is in one bucket. So this would be a little bit harder for her. And some that are listening and watching, you're going to have a little bit more challenge with this as you think through it. But I'm able to do that, and I think that when you can do that, it will dedicate certain times across the season of life for the different parts of your community, your hobbies. John says it this way. John does not believe in work-life balance, right? For him, it's really, really, really hard. And what he does believe in is having a calendar throughout the year that when he carves out, when he has these different portfolios, family, that he's 100% in on. Mm-hmm. So when he's with his family on a vacation or whatever it is 100% family. And when he is working, it is 100% working.
That's interesting.
And so he looks at it as a lump sum throughout the year or throughout the month or the quarter versus, trying to do that on a weekly or daily basis because he has a hard time being able to do that.
The truth here is the teaching is as a leader is to help your team to make a portfolio. What is your portfolio? How are you going to manage your portfolio? Don't let them do I like if John says it's going to be 100%, 100%, then that's a great strategy. But I'm not going to be that. I'm going to do it a different way. But can you help your teammates?
Absolutely. I think, and that comes back to just the foundation of what we talk about, which is at level 2 leadership, really connecting and understand those that you lead. How are they wired? What works well for Perry and Bonnie and their family? And then let me help you lead through that so that, and then be very comfortable with that as a leader, knowing that that's what's going to set you up best for success. Perfect. That's your kind of portfolio. And I think it's going to be essential for us to do that going forward. And so kind of as we wrap up, I think we need to make sure everything we just talked about here today, we've got to really understand and dig in and have some knowledge on it so we can lead our teams through it. These are trends that are here now and will be here for a while. And I think if we can get a better understanding, we will attract and retain talent like we've never done before. We will enhance engagement and productivity with our team. And I think we'll foster innovation from that team. Good. We'll get the discretionary effort if we're aware of what's going on and lead our team through these.
Super. Well, thanks for the input. And just a reminder, if you want to get that learner guide, if you'd like to learn about our other offerings, if you'd like to see about the other podcast offerings from our podcast family, you can do all that at maxwellleadership.com/podcast. You can also leave us a question or a comment. We love hearing from you, and we're very grateful you'd spend this time with us today. That's all from the Maxwell Leadership Executive Podcast.